All right, so get this. We've got a whole stack of real software developer interview questions, the kind you might actually get hit with.
Yeah, and we're going to break them down, figure out what the interviewer's really after.
Not just what to say, but like how to really nail it.
Exactly. Plus, we're going to sprinkle in some wisdom from RoleCatcher's Software Developer Career Guide.
Ooh, insider tips. Love it. But first, maybe like a super quick overview of what a software developer actually does.
Basically, they're the architects of, well, everything digital, taking ideas and turning them into the apps and systems we use every day.
And it's a pretty hot field right now, right?
Yeah, the demand's huge, which means tons of opportunity.
Okay, ready to tackle a question?
Hit me with it.
All right. Can you explain the difference between procedural and object-oriented programming? A classic.
Oh, yeah. I remember struggling with this one back in college. The procedural is like a recipe, step by step, right?
Yep, you got it. And object-oriented is more like building with Lego blocks, each object with its own data and functions. So procedural's linear, object-oriented's modular.
Exactly. And speaking of that, the career guide talks about how software is getting more and more complex.
So object-oriented's better for big projects.
Usually, yeah, because it's easier to manage and maintain. Don't be surprised if they follow up with which approach is better for large-scale applications.
Good point. So how should we answer that?
You could highlight how object-oriented is better for those bigger projects because, well, modularity, reusability, scalability, like think about building a skyscraper. You wouldn't start from scratch on every floor, right? You'd use prefab parts.
Makes sense. Work smarter, not harder, as they say. Okay, what's next?
All right, this one's all about quality. How do you ensure the quality of your code?
I'm guessing I don't write bugs isn't going to cut it.
Probably not. This is where you talk about things like unit testing, integration testing.
Oh, and code reviews, right? The career guide was big on those.
Totally. Like a second set of eyes checking your work, catching errors, making sure it's all clean. They might ask, walk me through your code review process.
So be ready to explain how you give and take feedback. Collaboration is key. Okay, hit me with another one.
All right. Deep breath. Here we go. How do you approach solving complex programming problems?
Ooh, that sounds intense.
It's all about showing you can break a big problem down into smaller chunks. You could mention using pseudocode to outline your logic, maybe drawing diagrams.
The career guide said employers want more than just coding skills. It's about, like, critical thinking, being adaptable.
Yep. So if they say, describe a time you faced a tough coding problem, pick something that shows you're resourceful.
Okay, next question.
Here's a data structure one. Can you explain the difference between a stack and a queue?
Uh-oh, data structures. Back to computer science 101.
Imagine a stack of pancakes. Right. You can only add or remove from the top. That's last in, first out. A queue is like a line at the store, first in, first out.
Stacks are like undo functions, and queues are for like tasks that need to be done in order.
Exactly. They might even ask, give me a real-world example of how you've used a stack in your work. So have a specific scenario in mind.
Okay, feeling kind of nerdy now. What's next?
This one's a bit broader. How do you keep up with the latest trends and technologies in software development?
Ugh, that's a constant struggle, right? Tech changes so fast.
For sure. This is about showing you're passionate about learning, you're committed to staying ahead of the game.
The career guide mentioned workshops, online courses, industry blogs.
Exactly. This is where you show you're not just good today, but you're constantly learning and growing. They might even ask, what tech are you excited about right now?
Oh, I love that question. Okay, what else you got?
Back to object-oriented programming. Can you explain the difference between a constructor and a method?
Constructors are like blueprints for objects, right?
Exactly. They set the initial state. Methods define the actions the object can take.
So the constructor sets the stage, and methods are the actors.
Perfect analogy. They might ask for a specific example from your work, so be ready to describe a class, its constructor, and one of its methods. Remember, the career guide said strong object-oriented skills are, like, gold in the job market.
Okay, teamwork time. How do you handle conflicts with other team members during the software development process? I mean, conflicts happen, right?
Of course. This question's all about showing you're a team player. You can communicate, you can collaborate.
The career guide talked about active listening and open communication being key.
Spot on. Be ready to share an example of a time you successfully navigated a team conflict. What was the situation? How'd you approach it? What was the outcome? Be specific.
Last question for this round, and it's a good one. Can you give an example of a project you worked on that required you to learn a new technology or programming language? They want more than just, I took an online course, right?
Definitely. Pick a project where you had to really push yourself, learn something totally new.
The career guide was all about showcasing that learning process.
Yeah. Mention the resources you used, any mentors you had, different approaches you tried. And don't be surprised if they ask, what would you do differently next time? It shows you're always trying to improve.
Phew, we just covered a ton in.
Take a break, grab some water, and we'll be back in a flash to tackle even more interview questions. And then, the big reveal. The power of RoleCatcher's AI.
All right, welcome back. More interview questions coming your way. You ready? Bring it on. My brain's still buzzing from that last round, but yeah, let's do this.
Okay, how about this? Can you explain the difference between a linked list and an array? Data structures again.
Ugh, data structures, always a brain twister. What's the key difference here? Remind me.
Think of it like this. An array's like a neatly organized bookshelf. Each book has its own numbered spot. A linked list is more like following clues. Each item points you to the next.
Ah, so arrays are good for finding things quickly, but linked lists are more flexible if you need to add or remove stuff.
You got it. Now, the career guide talks about how important data structures are for making your code run efficiently. They might ask, given a scenario where you're constantly adding and removing elements, which data structure would you choose?
So you got to know the trade-offs, not just the definitions. Okay, what's next?
All right, let's talk performance. How do you optimize the performance of your code? No one wants slow software, right?
Ugh, tell me about it. What are some things that would impress an interviewer with this question?
You want to talk about using the right algorithms and data structures, minimizing how much memory and processing power your code uses, stuff like that. You could even mention using profiling tools to find those bottlenecks.
The career guide mentioned clean code being important too, right?
For sure. Well-structured code's easier to understand, debug, and optimize. Don't be surprised if they hit you with, tell me about a time you optimized a piece of code. Have an example ready.
Ooh, good tip. Okay, next question.
Can you explain the difference between procedural and object-oriented programming? Oh, wait, we already did this one, didn't we?
Yeah, I thought so too. Why are they asking it again?
It's like the fundamental concept in software development, so it makes sense they'd want to make sure you really get it. Remember, procedural's step-by-step, object-oriented's modular.
Right, it's coming back to me now. But what if they ask which approach is better for large-scale apps?
That's where you really show off your understanding. You could say that, yeah, for big complex projects, object-oriented usually wins because it's easier to manage, reuse code, make changes, like building with Legos again.
Ah, the Lego analogy, I love it. Okay, what else do we have?
All right, back to quality code. How do you ensure the quality of your code? This is your time to shine.
It's more than just testing though, right?
Right. Talk about unit testing, integration testing, code reviews, maybe static analysis tools, all those good things. Remember, the career guide talked about the importance of collaboration.
Yeah, code reviews, bouncing ideas off each other. So be ready to explain how you handle that whole process. What's next?
How do you approach solving complex programming problems? Problem solving, it's like the heart of being a developer.
It does feel like every question comes down to that in some way. What kind of answer are they looking for here?
They want to see that you have a process, you can think logically, break things down, mention pseudocode, diagrams, maybe even talking it through with someone.
And the career guide mentioned it's okay to ask for help, right?
Totally. No one expects you to know everything. Don't be surprised if they ask, tell me about a time you faced a really tough problem. How'd you solve it? Have a good story ready.
Okay, another data structure one. Can you explain the difference between a stack and a queue? I'm starting to think they really love data structures.
It's fundamental stuff.
Yeah.
Pancakes for stacks, line at the store for queues. Remember.
Last in, first out, first in, first out. Got it. What if they ask for a real-world example, though?
Think about your past projects. Have you built an undo feature, worked with function calls, stuff like that? Explain how that stack or queue was crucial to making it work.
All right. Feeling pretty good about data structures now. What's next?
Okay, this is a big one. How do you keep up with the latest trends and technologies in software development? The tech world moves so fast.
Tell me about it. How do you even keep up?
This is where you show your passion. Talk about courses, blogs, podcasts, conferences, open source projects, all that good stuff. The career guide was big on being part of the developer community.
Exactly. Don't be surprised if they ask, what new tech are you excited about? Pick something you genuinely find cool and explain why.
All right, back to object-oriented programming. This one asks, can you explain the difference between a constructor and a method? Object-oriented programming seems to be a recurring theme here.
It's super important. Constructors are like blueprints. They set up the object. Methods define what the object can do. Think of it like building a car. The constructor defines the color, the model, the engine size. Methods are like starting the engine, driving, braking.
Ah, okay, I get it now. Constructors the setup, methods are the actions. What if they want more detail, though? They might ask for an example from your work. Have a specific class in mind, describe its constructor and one of its methods. Clear, concise, and how it relates to the project. The career guide mentions strong object-oriented skills are in high demand, so this is a good one to nail.
Okay, 2 more questions, and we'll finally get to the RoleCatcher AI magic. This one's about teamwork. How do you handle conflicts with other team members during the software development process? Let's be real. Conflicts happen, right?
All the time, especially in a fast-paced environment. This question's about showing you can handle those conflicts like a pro. You can communicate, you can collaborate, you're not going to lose it when things get tough.
The career guide talked about active listening and open communication.
Exactly. Have a specific example ready of a time you navigated a conflict successfully. The situation, how you approached it, what the outcome was. They love specifics.
Okay, last question before we unveil the power of RoleCatcher AI. Can you give an example of a project you worked on that required you to learn a new technology or programming language? This is a chance to really show your growth mindset.
Yep. Pick a project where you really had to step outside your comfort zone and learn something new.
The career guide mentioned highlighting your learning process too.
For sure. Did you use specific resources? Did you have a mentor? Did you try different approaches? And be ready for them to ask, what would you do differently next time? It shows you're always learning and growing.
Okay, we just went through a ton of questions. I'm feeling way more prepared and confident now.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
But before you jump into that interview, we've got to talk about RoleCatcher's AI and how it can take your prep to a whole new level.
Okay, so we've crushed a ton of interview questions, but now the moment we've all been waiting for, RoleCatcher's AI. Tell me everything.
All right, so imagine this. You've got this AI that's like your personal interview coach. You feed it the job description, and it helps you tailor your answers to that specific role.
So it's not just generic advice, it's like customized.
Exactly. It helps you hit those keywords, makes your wording super sharp, and ensures you're highlighting the skills they really care about. It even gives you feedback, almost like a mock interview, so you can practice. Remember the career guide mentioned how important it is to tailor your resume to each job?
Yeah, totally.
Well, RoleCatcher's AI does the same thing, but for your interview answers.
That's incredible. Seriously, this deep dive has been so helpful. I feel like I can actually walk into that interview with confidence now.
That's what we like to hear. Remember, preparation is key.
Yeah.
You've put in the work, you understand the concepts, and now you have RoleCatcher's AI in your corner. Go get him.
Before we wrap up, one last thought. The career guide talked about how fast the tech world moves. So how are you planning to stay on top of everything after the interview? What's your plan for keeping those skills sharp?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's all about continuous learning, right? Keep exploring those online courses, those industry blogs, stay active in the developer community, never stop being curious.
Well, that's awesome. Well, that's a wrap on another deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and good luck with that interview. You got this.